hybrid meeting participants.
Good evening and welcome to our June 10th, 2025 meeting of the Half Moon Bay Planning Commission. Our meetings are broadcasted live on Pacific Coast TV's website as well as Coast Local Channel 27. We also have Spanish interpretation at our meetings this evening. A few brief public comment etiquette items to review for us in person and for those that are on the Zoom platform. The Planning Commission Chair will open up the general public comment section of the agenda. At that time, community members are welcome to speak on any items that are not listed on this meeting's agenda. For those items listed specifically on tonight's agenda, during the time of that item being discussed, the Chair will designate a specific time for public comment opportunities. 3 minutes will be given to those who would like to comment, and another time may be determined by the discretion of the Chair. We will begin the in-person comments first and then follow with those attendees on Zoom. If you would wish to speak, please fill out a green speaker card, which is at the entrance. And if you're virtual, please raise your virtual hand upon wanting to be heard. We did have some public correspondence this morning and was sent to, the memo was sent to the Planning Commission and also posted to the website. I do apologize on the agenda. Under public comment until this morning, it did say that there was the IDS mural, and that's not correct. It is an item that is listed on the agenda. It got duplicated in the wrong spot. So I just wanted to make clear for anyone who's watching or in person. Other than that, I will relinquish back to Chair Reddick to begin the meeting.
Thank you, Bridget. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have a roll call, please, Bridget?
Yes, Commissioner Gossett.
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez.
I am present.
Commissioner Rems.
Here.
Vice Chair Gorn.
I'm here.
Chair Reddick.
Here.
All planning commissioners are present.
Consideration of minutes of our meeting from our last meeting, which was May 13. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Seconded.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye, please.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, say no. I think it's unanimous. That brings us to the portion of our meeting, as at every meeting, where the public is invited to address the Planning Commission on any issues that people feel would like to, other than what's on our agenda for later tonight. I have a green card from former Commissioner Jimmy Benjamin, who wants to speak in public hearing, so I'll open the public hearing now.
Thank you, and good evening, commissioners and staff. It's nice to see you again. I didn't have a chance at the last meeting to formally thank you for the recognition. I know Sarah and Brian, I'm sure, feel the same way. It's touching, and as I often tell people, it is our privilege to have been able to serve. So thank you for your ongoing service, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of the great work that you're going to be doing. I wanted to speak tonight because having come back from being with my father on the East Coast, I was disturbed to see the scraping of vegetation at the intersection of Highway 1 and 92 on the southeast corner. I understand that the council has raised the issue, member of council, and the staff has issued a stop work order and that it's being pursued. I'm grateful for that. It is literally the most prominent alluvial channel in the city of Half Moon Bay. And the idea that it would not be obvious that a project in this area that bared the soil in that area it defies logic. I will give the developer the charity of my silence. But I do believe that there are opportunities to remediate and that we will take them. The observation, however, is that we invite projects like this whenever we allow development that is not permitted to occur and it has no consequences for the person that's developing. I'm reading a staff report. I'm still a little tired, so it's entirely possible that I'm missing it, but I have not yet located the remediation aspect of a biological report that covers the unpermitted development that was north of Wave that staff has been working with the developer for. I'll read it more carefully, and I'm looking forward to finding it, but I will be commenting, I'm sure. At the last meeting where you heard the goat farm, you also heard my sad story of development by the Andrini families on the 18-inch culvert that was not permitted adjacent to Highway 1. The city is well aware of some of its own indiscretions with respect to unpermitted development. And if these things don't have consequences, Lutheran Church even, if these things don't have consequences, we're going to continue to invite these problems. And so the solution of that problem begins here with you, to try to discourage these kind of behaviors with appropriate sanctions and follow-up to make sure that they do not occur. So I know you share my distress, and I look forward to hearing how this is resolved in a way that actually gives us a better deal going forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, former Commissioner Benjamin. I have a request from Commissioner Gorn as part of this part of the public hearing to make a comment as a private citizen rather than as a commissioner. So if there's no objection from staff or the attorney's office, we'll do that.
Is that okay? It's off the agenda. It's not on our agenda, so I felt funny. Is that okay?
Please.
Should I have to go up there? I should go up there. So hi, I'm David Gorn. I'm a member of the Planning Commission, but speaking as a citizen. So it's the same issue as Jimmy's issue. I drove by there maybe 2 weeks ago, and I thought, wow, that has turned into habitat. Like that is so, like it's, I didn't even know how anyone, like people would have a hard time developing there. But they're not gonna have a hard time now, because it's not only been scraped, it's not only been graded, but there's 3 new roads out there. There's 3 gravel roads. And so, as a planning commissioner, I'd probably be like, oh, well, tell me, how did that happen, right? Explain. But as a citizen, I want to say, like, what the hell are you thinking? Like, what is going on that could be allowed? I don't understand it. It's really, really upsetting. And I would say, I don't know if this is true, but I did hear that it took 3 days to do a stop work order. And when I look at what Caltrans did out there, it looks like about 3 days, 4 days worth of work. And I have no idea how that can happen, how it could take 3 or 4 days to stop that. It is absolutely transformed. It is flat and barren and I guess, ready for development, ready for Pumpkin Festival, whatever it's ready for. But I just wanted to register as a citizen my disapproval. Thanks.
Thank you, Vice Chair Gorn. Are there any other members of the public who'd like to address the commission at this point, either in person or online?
I have none online.
All right, well, let's move to our public hearing items in that case. Our first one has to do with a 5-year limited coastal development permit for improvements and use of a parking lot for Ritz-Carlton Hotel employees off-site. And I believe Mr. Scott Phillips will present on this one.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Chair Ruddock and members of the Planning Commission. I'm the project planner for the proposal at 2251 Cabrillo Highway South and 1602 Miramontes Point Road. So where the parking lot is sort of straddles two properties. So and this slide shows aerial photograph of the site in green, showing the two addresses, and then the sort of the driveway that accesses the existing parking lot from Miramontes Point Road. And you'll notice that the parking lot is sort of set back from Cabrillo Highway and Miramontes Point Road by some sort of vacant lands. And the city boundary is indicated in yellow there. So right along the sort of the southeastern corner of the city. Now the project has, as you mentioned, it includes the existing parking lot for hotel employee parking. And the permit is authorization is for a 5-year term. And the following modifications would also take place as part of the project, included in the project plans as attachment 2 to the staff report. 3 stormwater bioretention areas would be added, as well as 3 concrete, pervious concrete sections, and then some improvements to the existing ADA parking spaces, including van accessible parking spaces, bringing the parking lot up to current ADA code standards. Additional bicycle parking would go in, and then also the sort of the red curbs that you see on the photograph here on both sides of the parking lot. They have been recently repainted, but the idea is that will be maintained moving forward. Upgrades, the lighting would also take place, and the permit requested is a coastal development permit, sort of a termed 5-year coastal development permit. Now, the off-site parking lot has a sort of long history, and it's to provide employee parking to the Ritz-Carlton Hotel roughly 1.5 miles to the west. Now, the hotel was approved in 1991 and constructed thereafter. And note that the hotel is legal non-conforming as far as vehicle parking, so meaning that there are less parking spaces available than what's required, and the hotel was signed off and built that way. Now, in 2002, the owners of the hotel submitted for the temporary parking lot for employees. A 4-year approval was granted, and the parking lot was paved and striped shortly after. And then after that, a series of sort of temporary extensions were granted by the Planning Commission up to 2013. And in 2013, a longer 10-year extension was granted with conditions of approval requiring ADA and stormwater improvements to take place to the parking lot. Now, more recently in 2023, an application was submitted for a permanent parking lot. We met with the applicant and said, okay, let's get out of this business of just granting extension after extension. Let's get a permanent parking lot approved. And we were going down that road, and then the land was put on the market and is in sale currently right now. The new owners have they are not willing to grant a permanent lease. That at the most they're willing to grant a 5-year lease. So we then had to ratchet back just after completeness to sort of modify the project to just a 5-year lease based off of the new owner's direction. Now this slide shows the existing parking lot, sort of aerial photograph, giving you an idea of what's going on the site right now. There's it's sort of a bus stop area, a regular schedule that's sort of buses employees over to the hotel complex. And again, the hotel is sort of legal non-conforming as far as parking goes. The idea is that the employee parking lot would, sort of improve the parking situation at the hotel, which it has. And it's essential to the hotel operation to have some sort of, off-site parking for employees, and it's very common at resorts to have something of this nature. This slide includes the proposed parking lot configuration with the upgrades to the ADA parking stalls. You'll see that we have 3 van accessible parking spaces there. I believe there's only 1 right now. Improvements to the lighting would take place. You can see the stormwater detention areas, and then the bike parking. Now, we do have policy in our land use plan that supports improvements that are associated with visitor serving. The land use designation is commercial visitor serving, so the off-site parking there's certainly policy support for the employee parking. Zoning code, the site is zoned commercial general, but will be modified in the future to be consistent with the commercial visitor serving land use. So the idea, once we get into a comprehensive zoning code update, the zoning will be changed to commercial visitor serving. The project, for the most part, meets the standards of the commercial visitor serving zoning district. We do have a condition of approval, condition B2B, that we're recommending to add long-term bike parking to the parking lot. We have employees that are parking there on a long-term basis, so it just makes more sense to have long-term bike parking as opposed to short-term bike parking in the off-site parking lot. Now, lighting is required to be focused on the site without spillover onto adjacent properties. The memo that Bridget distributed recently did recommend an additional condition of approval requiring a photometric plan. And the idea behind that is that would verify that no spillover light would take place onto adjacent properties. It's very common for us to require that, so we all agreed that that was pretty reasonable. Now, in summary, I pointed out a land use plan policy that shows support for the off-site parking. With the added conditions of approval, the project is in compliance with applicable zoning regulations. The project is categorically exempt from CEQA. And staff is recommending, noticing. We did post the site, mailed notices to all neighbors within 300 feet. We also published a legal notice in the newspaper for tonight's meeting. And we did receive 2 letters, one from the applicant and one from a neighbor. The applicant did have some questions about the improvements. I did meet with the applicant before the meeting tonight, and they seem okay with what's shown on the plans. And then the neighbor did have some concerns about the lighting, but we feel that the added condition of approval would address the concerns from the neighbor. They are both here tonight also, just so you know. And like I said, staff is recommending approval. Note that there is a 10 working day appeal period for any decision that the Planning Commission makes. And this site is outside of the appeals jurisdiction for the California Coastal Commission, so the final decision is with the city. And that concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Does the applicant wish to address the commission? Is it Mr. Lombardo?
Yes, sir. Tony, please.
Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Tony Lombardo. Boy, 10 years went by in a hurry. I was only 10 years ago. I was here in front of you about this, and I was hoping that this would be the last time I would be here on this. Not because I don't enjoy. I love coming to Half Moon Bay, but I thought we would do a permanent extension. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to work out that way. As Scott mentioned, after we filed the application, the current property owners sold the property or in the process of selling it to Mid-Peninsula, and they've informed us that they don't want us to continue to be their tenant. So we changed the application to a 5-year extension so that we could find a replacement location. And we've talked to some of our neighbors, one of whom is sitting in the audience with us today, about alternative locations. And so we're actively investigating a permanent home for our employee parking. So as Scott mentioned, we've gone over the conditions and they're all fine. So unfortunately, I'm asking you for another 5-year extension so that we can come back, hopefully in that period, with a permanent home for our parking and get a new use permit. And apparently Mid-Peninsula is intending on doing something else with the property. So the general manager is here with me tonight at the hotel if anyone has any questions. But other than that, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Do any other members of the public wish to address the comment on this question? Nobody online?
No, I have no one.
Well, invite commissioners, ask commissioners if if we have any clarifying questions for staff. I have one. Please, Vice Chair Gorn.
Is there a change in the lighting? I didn't see any changes in the lighting.
Yes, there is. They intend to replace the existing light fixtures within the parking lot to more modern LED lighting, so.
Thank you.
And this slide here up in the top right-hand corner gives a sort of a snapshot of the fixtures that they're looking at.
No, I did see that, but I just didn't see in the staff report where that there were changes to lighting, so thank you.
Commissioner Gossett.
Thank you. Will this type of lighting prevent the spillover that the neighbor complained about? I think in one of our comment letters. Do you believe that will address that, Scott?
We believe so, but we are requesting an additional condition of approval requiring a photometric plan. So the photometric plan will, provide more of a quantitatively to verify that no light spillover will take place.
Thank you. I have one more question. How will the bioswales be maintained?
So there is a maintenance requirement with bioswales, and that's something that our engineering staff usually takes the lead on. So, but there is a maintenance component to them. So.
Thank you.
Any other clarifying questions? Deliberations by commissioners? I will say that this may be sorry. Yeah.
I just had a comment to make in response to Scott's comment about the maintenance component would be reviewed by engineering. We have a lot of bioswales in town that are not being maintained correctly. Bioswales are supposed to benefit the ecosystem, and a lot of the plants around town that are in the bioswales are being meatballed to the point where the flowers are being cut off, and that prevents pollinators from, utilizing the bioswales. They're supposed to be they're supposed to provide ecological benefit. So that's why I sort of brought that up, just because a lot of the bioswales in town and some of our new little gardens have plants that are, like I said, being meatballed. Thank you.
Could you clarify the term meatballed? I've never heard that before.
Okay, well, maybe where they take a chainsaw and they cut the flowers off, or they just clear cut the plant down to like maybe 6 inches. And so I think if anyone who is into gardening might notice that if you walk around town. And I really worry about the new bioswales that were installed on Poplar. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because there's bioswales mentioned, is that, if we have an engineering maintenance agreement in our condition of approval, do do the engineers understand how to take care of bioswales? That's I'm concerned about that, given the impact to our current bioswales in our public spaces. Thank you.
Thank you. I learned something tonight. I think this perhaps goes without saying, but the Ritz-Carlton is an extremely valued business business in Half Moon Bay, and you can see the number of jobs that the hotel creates by the size of the off-site employee parking lot. So I certainly do wish you all the best in finding a permanent solution to that location. Any other comments, or may we have a motion?
I move that we approve the project without amendments. I didn't pull up the CDP. I said without amendments. So,
Do you recommend the staff approvals, including the photometric plan
oh, yes,
and the other recommendations in the staff report?
yes.
I second the motion then.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Unanimous passage. Thank you, folks. Item 1B in the public hearing agenda is a coastal development permit and use permit file for a small wireless telecommunications facility at 766 Main Street. Scott, is this you as well?
Yes, thank you, Chair Ruddock and members of the Planning Commission. I'm the project planner on this one as well. So as mentioned, this project includes one small cell wireless telecommunication facility at 766 Main Street. And it involves the replacement of one utility pole with a new one that's, roughly the same material, but 10 feet, 10 inches taller. That includes the small cell technology. So no ground-mounted equipment. All the new wireless telecommunication facilities would be mounted to the new pole. And now this would be a new wireless telecommunication facility and not co-located, which triggers the use permit requirement. That's the primary reason why this project is in front of the Planning Commission tonight. Now, the project was initially proposed with another small cell site that was reviewed by the Planning Commission, I believe it was last year, and approved on Purisima Street. But due to complications with PG&E, the Main Street pole replacement was removed from the project and therefore had to be resubmitted. Now the site is zoned commercial downtown and within the sort of southern Main Street portion of downtown, just west of the Coastside County Water District facility, their maintenance yard there. It's actually on Purisima Street where the pole is, but does have a Main Street address. And the aerial photograph and call out here shows where the pole replacement would take place. Roughly across the street, a little down and across the street to the entrance to Amesport Landing. Now this slide does show the site plan on the right, a little hard to read, but then the elevation of the new pole on the left there. And the overall height would be 35 feet 4 inches, just shy of the maximum allowed 36 feet. And then this slide shows a photographic rendering of the existing pole on the left. And then on the right, as you can see, they would be very similar, just aesthetically. The equipment would be have the brown covers that would reduce the sort of visual aspect to the proposed pole. And then this is from another angle sort of facing north. Existing pole on the left, the proposed on the right. Now, in 2018, there was quite a bit of FCC regulations that came out specific to small cell technology. And it basically limits what local agencies can require as far in relation to small cell sites, particularly in the right of way. And the new FCC regulations in particular have something they refer to as shot clock standards, sort of taking a term from basketball and adding it to cell phone regulations. In particular for 90-day, or for new facilities, a 90-day shot clock is implemented. And then for co-located, it's 60 days in which local agencies are required to make a decision. In this case, we've got a 90-day shot clock that expires on June 27th. We're still within the window of having to hand the ball over the other team, so to speak. So we're happy about that. And the project is, there is policy conformance from our land use plan. In particular, policy 939 calls out small cell technology and really encourages, it's sort of to minimize any, anything that's would be obtrusive as far as visual. And staff has been working closely with the applicant to make sure that the equipment is, colored roughly the same as the wooden pole, and to provide conformance with this particular policy. Zoning code, initially they were looking at a pole that was over 36 feet. We worked closely with the applicant to reduce the height down to less than what's allowed. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Chapter 1822 does identify co-located facilities as requiring a use permit. Now, and we do feel that the findings can be made for the use permit, similar to the one on Parissima. Let's see, I think I've hit all this. The project is categorically exempt from CEQA. And similar to the last project, we did send out noticing to all the properties, including all of Amesport Landing. Notice for tonight's meeting, this item. We posted the site several times, sent out legal notices, and we haven't received any comments on this project. Staff does recommend approval, and similar to the last project, there is a 10 working day appeal period. This site is also not within the appeals jurisdiction for Coastal Commission. And that concludes staff's presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you again, Scott. Are there any clarifying questions, Vice Chair Gordon?
Just really quickly, so the only thing I can think of is the replacing of the pole itself. So obviously, it's going to need to be a bigger hole. Like, how long, how much disruption are we talking about, and how long would it take? And do you know? Like, can you give me an idea?
Yeah. So. They are going to submit for an encroachment permit if this is approved, and which would require blocking off the street and submitting a traffic control plan. Last I believe when I spoke to the applicant, he was saying it was going to take a couple of weeks. He is logged in via Zoom tonight. Maybe that would be a better question for our applicant. So.
I'm not majorly concerned. Just more curious.
Are there any other clarifying questions that perhaps might go to the applicant as well? Yes, Commissioner Hernandez.
I didn't think I'd actually have a comment on replacing one ugly telephone pole with another ugly telephone pole, but in looking at the policies, there is some language, 3 sentences in, that talks about the visual characteristics of the area. And I wonder, the city has signage that it puts in place and planters they put in place. And I just wonder if there's something aesthetically we can do to take this rather ugly pole and the uglier pole that it's replacing it, and do something aesthetically with either planters or use some of the signage that we have on other parts of Main Street. I don't know if it's legal, given that it's a piece of telephonic infrastructure and there may be rules around things you don't want to do, but I appreciate you've done some work to make it look less unappealing, but there's a few ghastly things like legacy things like that around the city that'd be great to get rid of, and there's an opportunity to do something here, and maybe we can do something without a lot of hoo-ha. So that's my question: is the applicant willing to work with the city to just do something to make it look a little more pleasant?
Mr. Chair, I'd probably recommend seeing if our applicant has any feedback on that, so.
Yeah, I was just going to ask again if there are any other similar questions that we can lob his way. It doesn't look like it. So yeah, we'll welcome the applicant to address those two questions.
Go ahead, Neil, you can speak.
All right, so I'll start with the second question. The main thing here is that this pole ultimately does belong to PG&E. So any other attachments to it would have to go through them as well. If there's some specific ideas that you have, I don't think that we are opposed to it. If we want to talk about ideas, I'm happy to do that. We would, like I said, just have to get PG&E's buy-off on anything that was attached to the pole. And I've forgotten what the first question is, if you can remind me.
It was just the length of time to replace the smaller pole with the bigger pole.
Yeah, there's a few stages that this would go through. As I said, this is a PG&E pole, so they would be the ones that would do the replacement of the pole, and that usually happens. It's a day or part of a day. It's not very long to pull one out and put the new one in and get everything reattached like it is, and then following that, AT&T's contractors would come through and similarly takes them about a day, maybe 2 days to get everything attached and get all of their equipment attached, and then at some point after that, PG&E comes back and connects the power. So there's a couple of things that happen at different periods of time, but in between those times, there's no impact to the roadway. The sidewalk is open. There's no restrictions on that area.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for those responses. I'm wondering if there's anything concrete we can suggest about the aesthetics of that. And
I don't want to torture the applicant and ask him to go have a conversation with PG&E. So, it'd be nice to see if we could do something, but unless there's strong consensus here, I'm just fine to go ahead and approve the project.
pick our battles, huh?
I like to make him, go ahead.
I just wanted to add, I don't think that AT&T attaching this pole would preclude, the city going directly to PG&E and asking if, hey, can we hang a flower basket or a banner or whatever it is that you might want to do. There's no, other than, the areas where our equipment is attached, the areas in between, as long as it works for PG&E, there's usually, we see this more commonly on light poles than I think on wood poles, although some wood poles do, we'll have banners and we can attach to those just fine as long as everybody's out of each other's way.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to make a motion to, go ahead.
Have to invite public comment first. Before we do that, just want to check if there's any members of the public in the room or online who would like to comment on this.
I have none.
Are there any other deliberations before Commissioner Hernandez makes a motion? Please go ahead, Rick.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the item before us with an encouragement that city staff ask PG&E to incorporate this into our citywide sign program downtown.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Unanimously passed. Thank you. Thank you, Scott, again. Excuse me. Our next item is item 1C. The Planning Commission is asked to hear a report on the city's 5-year capital improvements program and to weigh in on whether it's consistent with the city's general plan. And in Maz's representative, please go ahead.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Dale Lita. I'm an associate engineer here at the city. I'm still relatively new here. I think I've presented to you once in the last 6 months. And I'll be honest, I don't know every detail of every capital project we're working on to date, but fortunately today we're not diving into every project. We're here to kind of review our 5-year CIP for general plan conformance. So we have 2 recommendations to review the 5-year capital improvement program. Normally this is a 1-year capital program for review. I'll get into the 5-year a little bit later, but for consistency with the city's general plan and local coastal program, and to adopt a resolution with findings that the proposed 5-year program is consistent with the city's general plan. So first, I think it's good to have a refresher. What is a capital improvement program? A capital improvement program is a tool, a planning tool for the city to identify current and future efforts to enhance the quality of life and experience for visitors and residents in Half Moon Bay. It provides 3 primary benefits. It helps us to schedule and plan for public improvements and the financing of those public improvements. It provides for the orderly management of capital projects consistent with the general plan. And it improves our ability to go after grants from local, state, and federal sources. Currently, our CIP is divided up into 7 different categories of projects. We have stormwater projects, economic development, parks, facilities, sanitary sewers, streets, and trails. Historically, we've had both what we call projects and programs within our CIP, and I think this has produced some confusion in the past over what's the difference between a program and a project. How do we categorize those and how are they prioritized? So I thought I'd give a little explanation just to recap. So projects can be thought of as these one-time distinct, usually they're generally larger projects, but fundamentally they're enhancements. We're adding to the city's assets. We're either widening roads to create additional capacity, or we're increasing the size of a sewer main. We're doing something that is adding some public benefit. We're creating new resources for residents if it's in the form of a park or a new sidewalk, something to that effect. Because these are enhancement projects, they often have environmental impacts, which we need to study through CEQA and through coastal development permit process. Programs, in contrast, are fundamentally more maintenance and replacement projects of existing city assets. So that's more like, you know, replacing a sewer pipe in kind with another sewer pipe, or a restriping project down one of our city streets. Those priorities change year to year, but it's fundamentally focused on the ongoing maintenance that we have on a yearly basis. It's more often with programs that under CEQA we have categorical exemption because there's often no increase or enhancement or impact. Now there are some programs that turn into projects, specifically when we're talking about things like pavement management projects where we're doing street work. We might have a paving project and we decide to widen the street or add sidewalks or green infrastructure as part of that. And those projects can kind of straddle the difference between program and project, and they sort of become projects. So there are times when we do have programming that still goes through CEQA and requires CDP process, just like our projects do. So what's different for this year, you'll notice, is we've actually taken the programming elements out of our CIP and moved those to separate operating budget. Recent discussions, recent meetings with City Council, kind of a focus on this back to basics approach to public works, trying to kind of ensure that those maintenance and replacement projects are a priority and they're separated from these other larger, longer term CIP projects. So between that and also just going through and prioritizing our projects, we've been able to reduce the number of CIP projects in our 5-year program from past years. We had more than 50 projects to currently for 25, 26, we have 29 projects. So that'll allow us to better focus kind of on those projects that are higher priority for council and for the city. One other thing to note about the CIP this year that we're presenting is, so this is the 5-year CIP as opposed to the single-year CIP. So in past years, we've presented only an individual 1-year CIP program to Planning Commission for general plan conformance. The reason we made the change this year to the 5-year program was to allow for more flexibility. If council decides one of the projects in our 5-year program are a higher priority and we need to move those up to this year, then we already have that compliance that's needed. So the general plan conformance is a requirement before we go to city council for adoption. And so by moving forward with our 5-year program, we get everything in there now, and then if our priorities change, we're already covered. And you'll notice a lot of these projects were actually presented to you last year under similar circumstances, but for the single-year program. I'm going to give a quick summary of some of last year projects that have been completed or are nearing completion. So our popular Complete Streets project, or popular calming and safety project, was completed last month. This project included the reconstruction of Poplar between Main Street and Highway 1, included the addition of traffic calming bulb outs, sidewalks, landscaping, and green infrastructure. John L. Carter Park is getting very close to completion. Construction of the new outdoor theater, seating, snack bar, and restrooms are finally coming to a close, with final landscaping being installed over the next 3 weeks. We're expecting to be completed with that project. Our 2024-25 street servicing project also included some dig-outs and rehabilitation on different streets throughout Arleta Park. And we also completed the first steps of our climate action plan with the full electrification of City Hall. So that got City Hall off of natural gas utilities, so all electric mechanical equipment. And as a next step in that project, we're moving forward with an application for solar panels or solar canopy over the City Hall parking lot. Many of the projects slated for this next fiscal year will likely look familiar to you, as they were on last year's CIP as well. What hasn't changed is our stormwater master plan update, which we've been struggling to get started with, but we understand is very important to the community, and it's become our highest priority for this fiscal year. The stormwater master plan has several other implementing projects that are related to it, including the Kehoe watershed improvements and the Roosevelt Pullman ditch, which I know have come up in a lot of recent discussions. So all these projects are related and have received a lot of focus recently, and we're making a priority to make headway on them this year. Our Highway 1 North project, which includes lanes and a new intersection at Terrace Avenue. That project is we're also working through final permitting with Caltrans on that project, as well as our East Side Parallel Trail Segment 4 project between Murata and Rocket Farms, or the existing Naomi Patridge Trail Trail. So both of those projects are still working through final permitting, and we're also coordinating with Caltrans on their multi-asset rehabilitation project, which is scheduled to commence this summer. The Smithfield ISM&D, I think our comment period ended last week or just at the end of May. And so we're planning to bring that before Planning Commission. It looks like it's going to be probably the second meeting in July is what we're targeting to present that. We've gotten some great comments on the ISM&D from the public and from Coastal Commission, which we'll be putting forward responses to. For that project, we're hoping to commence with construction on phase 1 in July. Well, let's say phase 1, which includes the water main extension and the paving of the parking lot. So we're hoping to commence with construction after Little League season next year. I'm happy to offer summaries on any of these or other projects as I am able to do. So although it's easy to get into the weeds, I wanted to bring the focus back to tonight's recommendation. Our goal is to make findings for the 5-year CIP project list being consistent with the city's general plan. I've listed several of the goals outlined in the circulation and recreation elements that apply. Our street projects work to improve safety and emergency vehicle access. Our trail projects enhance multimodal transportation. And our park projects are an investment in our public open space. Many of our stormwater projects find their consistency via the LCLUP, which serves as the land use element in the general plan. So I've only included a handful of some of the policies that apply. There's actually many more policies listed under the natural resources, environmental hazards, kind of sections of the LCLUP, which we think are very achievable through careful planning and development of our stormwater master plan and related projects. Given concerns raised by the members of the public and council's prioritization, we're expecting a robust public outreach with regard to stormwater master planning development, and we're looking forward to collaborating with the community in the coming months. Attachment 2 in the staff report included the full list of our CIP, which is included here. I've spoken a little bit about some of these projects. I'm happy to get into more detail. Some of them I'm more familiar with than others, because I'm still relatively new here. But I'm happy to answer any other questions. I just wanted to reemphasize that tonight's goal is to determine consistency with the general plan.
Thank you, Dale. Could you remind me, what is the city's fiscal year?
The fiscal year starts July 1st through June 30th.
Thank you. Do you have a clarifying question, Commissioner Rims?
I just have a question, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, for staff. I noticed Pilacretas Creek was on the list. Can you explain what just briefly, what the extent of that project is, where it starts, where it ends, and what are you going to do?
The Pillarcitos Creek project restoration is, so that is a project focused on restoring the portions of creek that have been damaged by encampments down behind Safeway and extending up to and along Highway 1. So there's an existing fence there, kind of roughly halfway down the creek, that is in disrepair. It's had a lot of vegetation growing through it, and there's been a lot of vegetation damage, and there's also invasive species, and so we have invasive plants and other elements. So that project includes restoration, removal of garbage and waste from the encampments, and installation of a new fence, which would be further up on the bluff, kind of along the top of bank, to help resecure that portion of the creek.
And you'll extend that project all the way to Coast Highway?
It's currently planned all the way to the Coast Highway, yes.
Okay. Do you have a timing on that?
I don't.
Do you have any money for it?
We do have money allocated for it, yes.
The reason I ask is I live right behind there, and what had happened was, from the bridge, a lot of things in the last major rain we had washed down and actually dammed up the creek with heavy metals and styrofoam and plastics and bottles, debris. It's my fear is that if there is a significant storm, I don't think it's going to happen for a while, but if there's a significant storm that does happen, it could dam up, and we only got about 8 feet of freeboard between the ground and the bottom rafters of the balcony in the unit that I live in. And so it came within 8 feet about 2 years ago, if you remember that January storm that came up.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, and so that's why I'm asking. I'm just kind of curious what's going on with that. So.
Yeah, no,
Thank you very
I mean,
much.
it's in our 5-year plan, but it's also in our 1-year plan. So we have the goal of tackling that project in this next fiscal year.
Who could Commissioner Rems follow up with if he wanted more detail on the timing and such?
So you can follow with me directly. I've left my contact information here, and I'm happy to chat with any member of the commission or a member of the public regarding any of these projects.
Any more clarifying questions for Dale? Vice Chair Gorn.
Hi. So you said Carter Park is pretty much done. Does that include the sound system and the lighting?
No, it does not. No. As far as the contract currently for improvements, it does not include the sound system or lighting.
So, okay. So it's ready to be open to what dates for picnics or
I don't know the particulars of the arrangement for the theater companies and how they're going to incorporate. I know that they'll bring in their own equipment. I don't know how much of that is going to be part of the city's programming versus the theater company.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The paving of the parking lot for Smithfield, that's a private funder that's paying for that? It's not city money that's going towards that?
We have a donor that has expressed a desire and interest in funding that project, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You said that was for July of next year, right, Dale? The Smithfield?
Correct.
Any other clarifying questions?
Sorry? Yeah, so it's coming to Planning Commission. The ISMD is coming to Planning Commission for all of Smithfield redevelopment, July of this year. But the phase 1 of that, we're hoping to commence with construction in July, or not July, but the summer of next year after Little League season.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the CEQA document is what's coming to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to invite, and if anyone in the room or online would like to comment on the CIP presentation, we'd welcome you now.
I have no one.
In that case, any deliberation by commissioners, or may we have a motion to affirm that we find this consistent with the city's general plan?
I mean, I want to echo the feedback I've heard that it's a priority to deal with the stormwater management. And I listened to neighbors who came to the last city council meeting to speak on the Pullman ditch, and also spoke with a few of those the parties involved with that. So I think it's really critical we address this. So I'm glad to see that it's getting prioritization. I'd hate to see the city spend money paving the parking lot at Smithfield, but if a private donor wants to do it, it's fine. So just as long as we have like bioswales and a drainage plan and all the things we do with a normal project like that, then I don't see any issues, and I think it's fine. And I think I don't see anything significant missing from this.
Through the chair, thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Dale. I echo what Commissioner Hernandez just said about the stormwater, and I don't know if you got to listen to the hearing the other night, as I did also with Commissioner Hernandez, and Maz mentioned that the Rocket Farms had been in the past discharging some of their stormwater into the SAM wastewater treatment plant. And if, I guess the question I have, since you're an engineer, is it possible to look at flow data to see changes in the flow data during storms, to see if they are indeed sending stormwater down the ditch rather than into the wastewater treatment plant and flooding out the homes in that neighborhood? Because the only reason I asked that is Maz mentioned that on last Tuesday night.
Yeah, so we are in the process of evaluating. So to answer your question, yes, they do have a flow meter on their discharge into the force main that goes to the SAM plant. And I haven't personally seen those meter results, but I understand we're in the process of getting those from either SAM or from Rocket Farms, along with the other sewer district meter flows, and we're working on evaluating those.
And one more question about that. In addition to the flow meter data that's collected, do they pull grab samples or composite samples on pollutants that go into the sewer line? Because neighbors have noted pollutants coming down the ditch, and sometimes at night it's like phosphorescing, and so that's a question I have. Do you intend to pull wastewater data to see what kind of pollutants they are discharging from their facility?
I don't have any knowledge of sampling that might be occurring, but that certainly sounds like it may constitute an illicit discharge if there's some pollutants going down the ditch into the creek. So it's something we'll be looking into.
Okay, thank you. So I'm glad to hear you're going to be looking into that, both the pollutants and the flow.
Any other deliberations by commissioners? Would someone care to make a motion, please? Or shall I? I move that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution with findings that the presentation of the capital improvements program is consistent with the city's general plan.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. That has passed. Thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll be seeing more of you here.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Shall we forge on? Item 1D is an application for a sign permit for a sign at the Stone Pine Cove residential area. And Akoe Wilson, I believe, will present on this one.
Good evening, Chair Ruddick and Planning Commissioners.
Welcome.
Tonight I'll be presenting to you a sign proposal for the Stone Pine Cove neighborhood. It'll be located within the entryway, as you can see here on the location map, likely minimally visible from the public right-of-way, but I'll get into the reasoning why we're here tonight more in the next slide. The sign would be maximum height of 5'3" and 12 feet wide. That's the dimensions of the wall. However, the lettering would only be 9.27 square feet, and the sign would be made up of concrete and stone veneer. It's a single-sided sign. Here's a rendering of the sign as it would be seen within the entrance of the neighborhood. And the reason that we're here tonight presenting the sign to you is because within the sign code, staff didn't find any specific sign that this matched up with. And within our code, it provides a section for lack of specificity, and that was found, in which case you find the most closely related sign and use those standards. In this case, staff found that to be an area identification sign, which has no maximum size requirements or is pretty general on the standards, but does require Planning Commission approval. So tonight, staff is recommending you approve this sign. We think it would be a welcomed addition to the Stone Pine Cove neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Akoi. It may be the shortest presentation to Planning Commission ever.
I think that's the second time I've heard that.
Short and sweet. Are there any clarifying questions? Commissioner Hernandez.
Why are we putting a sign there?
This was proposed by the co-applicants, which is the county as part of it. I think it's a way to welcome people and let them know that they're within that neighborhood and just create a more presenting entry area. That would be my interpretation. I haven't directly asked our applicants, but.
So the purpose of the sign is to announce place and make sure people know where they're at?
Yeah, essentially. In the staff report, I did mention it's similar to Cypress Cove. The adjacent neighborhood actually has stone veneer type signage as well at the entryway. And so it's similar in the sense to provide that identification of the specific neighborhoods.
The only feedback or question I have is, I mean, obviously it costs money to light the sign, but is it possible to use more reflective lettering or something that stands out? Because at night, I mean, I looked in there, it doesn't look like it's lit at all from the staff report, but it doesn't look like it's a very prominent sign, and the black on brown doesn't really have a lot of pop.
Correct. There is no illumination proposed with the signage. I think the intention is to minimize any additional illumination throughout the neighborhood out of respect for adjacent neighborhoods as well as those living within that neighborhood. And there will be light poles throughout the neighborhood, so ideally it's located, I believe, near one that you would see the sign.
All right.
Any other clarifying questions? Is there anyone in this room or online who wishes to comment on this item?
I have no one.
I'd say I don't pretend to be an expert in these matters, but the idea of neighborhood cohesion with a name like that on a sign appeals to me. Anyone care to make a motion?
I move we approve.
I will second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. It is approved. Akoi, to you for item 1E, an application for a sign permit at for the mural at 735 Main Street.
Good evening again. Yes, this is another proposal for signage within Half Moon Bay. This one is for a mural along Main Street at the IDES location, which is 735 Main Street. The mural is currently in progress. Once notified that a sign permit is required for all murals in Half Moon Bay, the applicant provided an application to retroactively approve or retroactively get a sign permit for the mural. So here you can see a rendering of the mural, and smaller on the left is the progress as of about a week ago, maybe more, just to give you an idea of where it's at and the final product. Within the sign code, all murals are required to be approved by the Planning Commission. Murals may not exceed 100% of the exterior wall area. In this case, there's some blank space along the edges of the wall, as well as the adjacent facade remains blank. This is also is supported by our Main Street or Streetscape Master Plan, which encourages murals on blank facades, and especially in that area of Main Street should liven up the area a bit. And staff would be recommending retroactive approval of this sign permit as well.
Thank you again. I'm just curious, do you know the artist?
Yes, it is. I don't recall her full name, but it is the same artist that did the mural along Cunha.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful.
I believe the applicant's here. Can you tell us the name?
Yeah, that's great. Any clarifying questions for Akoi on this?
Excuse me, can you repeat her name because we didn't hear it in the mic?
Julie Engelman? Yeah, and did the she's the same artist that did Cunha's Country Store.
No clarifying questions? Anyone in the room or online care to comment on this item?
I see none. No one.
Commissioner Hernandez?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application for a sign to retroactively allow a permanent mural at 735 Main Street. And I also just want to add the comment that what I've seen so far looks stunning. It's going to be such an improvement over that area. So I made the motion to approve the item.
Can I comment after, or I could second that, and I'd like to discuss it. I did attend the festival this weekend, and there was so much excitement around that mural, especially with the Portuguese community. And so I agree with Commissioner Hernandez that it is beautiful, and I think it will add vibrancy to that section of the downtown area. So thank you.
Yeah, it's no doubt that it is beautiful, for sure. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Also unanimously passed. Thank you, Akoi. It's going to be a record that's going to be hard to beat for staff presenters. This brings us to Director Lako's director's report.
Okay. Thank you, Akoi. Yeah, so I'll start with the Caltrans violation, since we had two speakers talk about that. Yeah, so the site at the corner of Highway 92 and Highway 1 was graded. Caltrans has a permit for what we've been calling the Bridge Scour Project for work underneath the bridge there across Palacios Creek. They do not have a permit for the work that they did. They did not notify the city in advance of starting work, so they just came out and started the work with no notification. I was informed that they were working about halfway through the day on Wednesday. By 8 a.m. on Thursday, we had a stop work order. So I did see a letter with a comment that said the city took 3 days to do anything about it, which is factually incorrect. So they have currently stopped work. We are looking into all of the violations of their permit and documenting those. And we're meeting with Caltrans tomorrow, actually, to discuss what's next. So it's very unlikely that this is work that we would permit, but it's already done, and what we'll be discussing tomorrow is how much restoration they can do and what the next steps are going to be, which will likely be a lot of biological assessment and a lot of mitigation. But this will be coming back to you, so I'll keep you informed as we go on. Bridget has been showing photos here of the damage. Can you show the photos near the fence, the ones that show the fence? Oh, I guess Scott's showing them. Thanks, Scott. Yeah, so this is, I think these photos are pretty telling in terms of just how much grading they did. I mean, there's a good, I don't know, 18 inches there that they graded down. And it looks like they were attempting to create some kind of drainage or flow there. So yeah, and then can you show the picture with the road also? Whoops. Yeah, right there. And so, yeah, also the gravel road is it's about 5 inches thick. I actually drove on it to get down there. So they did a lot of work, and they did it very quickly. So at any rate, the work has stopped now, and we're going to figure out how to remediate it. And Caltrans took more than 24 hours to get back to us. We called them right away when we found out about it, but once we put the stop work order up, they did get back to us. So that's where we're at with Caltrans on that. Do you have any questions?
I do.
Yeah.
So, so they started work on Monday?
They started work on Wednesday.
So you're saying that all of what happened is in one day?
Yeah.
They did all of that in one day. They put down 3 roads and 5 inches of gravel and graded that entire area in one day.
They weren't there on Tuesday.
Someone called me on Friday of last week to ask about, had we issued a permit for that area?
Same
So
thing on
I don't
Monday for
know
me.
what,
And actually, I've talked to several people who said that they talked to Matthew on Monday. So nobody talked to Matthew, is that right?
No,
So Matthew didn't know about this on Monday.
not that I know of.
Okay.
No, my first call about it was actually from Lisa Rossi, who, works for the city, and drove by and said, what's happening on Highway 92 and Highway 1?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Rems.
may I ask some clarifying questions since I'm totally ignorant on what's going on here? Who owns the property? I mean, is that city-owned property?
No, it's privately owned property.
Okay.
And
And do you think they're doing this for what, staging, construction staging for whatever they're going to do with the bridge?
that is in fact the purpose for their grading, yes.
Okay. And do you know if the current property owner was aware of what they were doing?
The current property owner leased the property to a contractor to do the work, but was not aware that the work wasn't permitted.
Okay.
Caltrans
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
has
That's all
the
right.
permit, and they are responsible for this.
I was just going to advise that we check in Marlene and see to what extent we can have a robust debate about this, because it isn't an agendized item.
As you flagged, this is not a time to get into a debate and back and forth discussion about this. But it sounds like the item will be coming back with more information on the agenda and an opportunity to ask more questions.
Yeah, well, I thank Director Lako for the update. I think it's obvious that there's a tremendous amount of energy around this and curiosity, so we would greatly appreciate knowing what the city knows as we go forward.
Okay.
And I'm certain the same applies to City Council.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is about the Redondo Beach Road Gate.
I just wanted to make one quick comment. I mean, I did communicate with Matt last Wednesday, which is the day I think you noticed, like that's what we're talking about. So if you heard something on Friday, that would have been after I communicated with Matt, and the project was apparently, the stop order had been issued on Thursday. So that's just, I don't know, I'm just.
Okay. So regarding the Redondo Beach Road Gate, as you're aware, the Coastal Commission appealed that project, and the staff report came out recommending denial of, well, recommending that the commission uphold the appeal, which would be a denial of the permit. They also recommended that the city withdraw the permit. The staff brought this to the last council meeting where they were setting priorities, because withdrawing the application and reevaluating the project, which would include the other gates that get locked at night, to prevent the commission from opening an enforcement investigation, is really a much bigger project than the city had was ready to take on. So we asked the council to discuss it in their priority setting. They did identify it as a big priority. So we first tried to postpone the application, which was council's preference, but a postponement would only last 30 days. So we ended up withdrawing the application, and my bet is that we won't be back to you for at least another year. It's really going to take some time to figure it out. So that's where we're at there. The other news, which you've probably heard about, is that the council approved the Champs-Élysées project. Since that time, the lawsuit was withdrawn. The appeal period with the Coastal Commission is still open. It'll remain open until the 19th of June. Yeah. And I usually try to report out on permits that were issued, and the only thing that we issued since the last meeting was 2 certificates of compliance, which were an absolute bear. And I bring them up because it's one of the things that we do that you don't usually hear about. So a certificate of compliance is a document that that identifies a lot as being a legal lot. And sometimes they can take a lot of research. And this one was, where these 2 took many hours of research. Dale did a lot of it, Marlene did a lot of it, and Doug did a lot of it. So it was a huge project, and we got both of them out. So we're very pleased about that. We have a pretty stacked director's hearing coming up. We have a mobile home at 2411 Cabrillo Highway. We have an addition to a home at 400 Redondo Beach Road. And then we have the solar structure in the parking lot for City Hall. And then at the next Planning Commission meeting, we'll have the initial study and mitigated neg deck for the Smith Field project. And we'll give you an update on the objective design standards. So ACOE will be back again. All right.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be so short on that one.
Yes. So that's it for me. I have here in my notes to follow up on bioswale monitoring, in addition to following up on the Caltrans stuff. So, all right.
Thank you very much. Lively times. Do any commissioners have communications to share?
Oh, yeah, I would like to
Gossett.
correct the record. I did not hear from the individual on Friday. Is Commissioner Hernandez suggested. I may have not, I heard from that individual on Tuesday about the work, or I'm sorry, Wednesday.
If there's nothing else, we would welcome a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second it. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. We are adjourned.